I buried my husband on Tuesday. On Friday his boss called. Come to Martin's office. Now. I walked in. Martin was alive. Sitting at his desk like nothing had happened. I had to fake my death, he said. David was planning to kill me. To institutionalize you. To take everything. Then he showed me the recordings. Our son. Celebrating his father's death. Stealing our accounts. Planning my erasure. My husband staged his funeral to save me from the child we raised. The coffin I'd wept over was empty. But the betrayal was real. And revenge? Revenge was watching our son's face when the dead man walked into the room. You are welcome. If you are just joining us, do well to like, comment and subscribe. Let's dive in. The funeral had been beautiful. That's what everyone said. Beautiful service. Beautiful flowers. Beautiful words. I'd stood at the front of the church in my black dress, David's arm around my shoulders, and watched them carry Martin's casket down the aisle. Closed casket. The accident had been too severe, they said. I'd believed them. Believed everything. Because why wouldn't I? You don't question a death certificate. A police report. A funeral director's sympathetic expression. You just break. David had been my anchor. My only son, 32 years old, suddenly the man of the family. He'd handled everything, the arrangements, the calls, the paperwork. Mom, don't worry about anything. I've got this. Dad would want me to take care of you. At the reception, he delivered a eulogy that had everyone in tears. My father taught me everything. How to be strong. How to be responsible. How to take care of the people you love. His voice had cracked. I promise, Dad, I'll take care of Mom. I'll make you proud. I'd clutched his hand, grateful. So grateful I wasn't alone. That night, David stayed at the house. Our house. The one Martin and I had lived in for 28 years. You shouldn't be alone, David said, making tea. I'll stay as long as you need. You don't have to. I want to. Besides, we need to start thinking about practical things. Practical things? He sat across from me at the kitchen table. Gentle. Concerned. Dad's accounts. The will. The house. I know it's hard to think about right now, but there are deadlines. Legal stuff. I can handle most of it, but you'll need to sign some things. I nodded numbly. Okay. I made a list. Just preliminary stuff. Nothing major. He slid papers across the table. Power of attorney. Temporary access to the joint accounts. Authorization to speak with Dad's lawyer. My hand shook as I reached for the pen. Mom. David covered my hand with his. I know this is overwhelming. But I've got you. I'll protect you. Just like Dad would have wanted. I signed. Didn't read. Just signed. Because he was my son. Because I trusted him. Because I was drowning in grief. And he was the only solid thing left. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, smiled slightly, then turned it face down. Everything okay? I asked. Just the bank. Confirming some transfers. Don't worry about it. I didn't. Later, after David had gone to bed in his old room, I sat in the living room staring at Martin's empty chair. 30 years of marriage. Gone in a car accident on a Tuesday afternoon. He'd been driving home from work. A truck ran a red light. Died on impact, they said. Didn't suffer. I'd wanted to see him. To say goodbye. They'd strongly advised against it. Mrs. Hayes, the injuries were extensive. You want to remember him the way he was. So I hadn't pushed. Hadn't insisted. Hadn't questioned. My phone rang at 11 p.m. Robert. Martin's business partner of 15 years. Eleanor? I'm sorry to call so late. It's okay. I can't sleep anyway. I need you to come to the office tomorrow. To Martin's office. There's something you need to see. Can it wait? The funeral was today, and I'm... No. His voice was urgent. Frightened. It can't wait. And Eleanor? Don't tell David you're coming. My stomach dropped. Why? Please. Just trust me. Come at 10. And come alone. He hung up. I sat there in the dark, Martin's empty chair across from me, and felt the first crack in the foundation of my grief. Something was wrong. Something beyond death and loss, and the normal wrongness of a world without Martin. Something worse. I just didn't know yet that the worst part wasn't that my husband had died. It was that he hadn't. I arrived at Martin's office at 9:55 a.m. The building felt wrong without him. His company, Hayes and Associates Financial Consulting, occupied the third floor. I'd been here hundreds of times. Anniversary lunches, Christmas parties, quick hellos. Never for this. Robert met me in the lobby. His eyes were red-rimmed. Eleanor, thank you for coming. Robert, what's going on? You're scaring me. He didn't answer. Just led me down the hallway to Martin's private office. The door was closed. Before I open this, Robert said quietly, I need you to know that everything Martin did, he did because he loves you. Please remember that. What are you talking about? He opened the door. Martin was sitting at his desk. Alive. Breathing. Looking at me with an expression of such anguish, I almost didn't recognize him. The world tilted. My knees gave out. I don't remember hitting the floor, but suddenly Martin was there, arms around me, voice in my ear. Eleanor, breathe. Just breathe. I'm here. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. You're dead. My voice didn't sound like mine. I buried you. I know. I know, sweetheart. But I had to. Please let me explain. Robert brought water. Helped me to a chair. Martin knelt in front of me, hands on my knees, tears streaming down his face. You faked your death. The words came out flat. Mechanical. Yes. You let me think you were dead. Let me bury an empty casket. My voice broke. How could you? Because David was going to destroy you. The name landed like a slap. What? Martin pulled out a folder. Hands shaking. He's been stealing from us, Eleanor. For 2 years. Embezzling. Forging signatures. And that's not the worst of it. He opened the folder. Bank statements. My signature on documents I'd never seen. Withdrawals. Transfers. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't understand. He's been draining our accounts. Systematically. He's also been. Martin's voice cracked. He's been building a case to have me declared mentally incompetent. He had meetings with lawyers. With doctors. He was going to take power of attorney, have me institutionalized, and take everything. No. David wouldn't. Eleanor. Robert stepped forward. Pulled out his phone. Listen to this. He pressed play. David's voice filled the room. Once the old man's officially gone, Mom will do whatever I say. She always has. Weak. Dependent. I give it 3 months before I have her declared incompetent too. Then it's all mine. The phone slipped from my hands. That's not, he wouldn't. There's more. Martin pulled out another document. He tried to bribe your doctor into diagnosing me with dementia. He's been telling people I'm unstable. He's been positioning himself as the responsible son managing his declining parents. When my voice was a whisper, I started noticing things 6 months ago. Small discrepancies. Then bigger ones. I hired a forensic accountant. A private investigator. The evidence is, he gestured to the folder, undeniable. I stared at the documents. At my son's handwriting. At my forged signature. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you wouldn't believe me. Because you love him. Because you'd make excuses. Martin's voice broke. Because the only way to stop him was to let him think he'd won. To make him show his true nature without any restraint. So you faked your death. I staged my death so he'd accelerate. So he'd reveal himself completely. So I could protect you from our own son. I looked at my husband. This man I'd loved for 30 years, who'd let me mourn him, who'd watched me break, and felt something inside me shatter. Not my love for him. My love for the boy we'd raised. He was at your funeral, I whispered. He cried. He gave a eulogy. I know. I watched the video. Martin's face was gray. It was a performance, Eleanor. All of it. What happens now? Now. Martin looked at Robert. Now we finish it. David thinks I'm dead. He's going to move fast. Push you to sign more documents, transfer more assets. We need to let him complete the crime. And then? Then what? Then we show him the dead don't stay buried. I didn't go home immediately. Couldn't face David. Couldn't look at him without screaming. Martin and Robert took me to a conference room. Spread out 2 years of evidence like an autopsy. Start from the beginning, I said. My voice sounded hollow. Tell me everything. Martin opened the first file. It started small. A few thousand here and there. I thought I'd made mistakes. Forgotten transfers. Then I noticed patterns. He showed me bank statements. Highlighted withdrawals. Every time we gave David money, for his business, for emergencies, he'd take more. Forge your signature. Move money from accounts he thought I didn't monitor. How much? $340,000. The number hit like a fist. But that's not all. Robert pulled up a laptop. We found these emails. Messages between David and lawyers. Inquiries about declaring parents incompetent. Questions about power of attorney laws. Consultations about elder care facilities. He was researching how to have us institutionalized. You first, Martin said quietly. Me first, actually. That was the original plan. Get me declared incompetent. Move you into a care facility for your own safety, after losing me. Then control everything. I scrolled through the emails. Clinical. Calculating. My son discussing me like I was a problem to solve, not a person. Not his mother. When did you know for certain? Martin pulled out a recording device. 3 months ago. I installed cameras in my office. Caught him going through my files. And I recorded this. He pressed play. David's voice on the phone. The dementia angle isn't working. The old bastard's too sharp. But the accident idea, that could work. Make it look natural. Traffic. Quick. Then mom's vulnerable and I move in. My blood turned to ice. He was planning to kill you. We don't know that for certain, Robert said quickly. Could have been talk. Fantasy. But you believed it enough to fake your death. Martin's silence was answer enough. I kept listening to recordings. Watching surveillance footage. Reading forged documents with my signature. My signature that David had practiced until it was nearly perfect. There were texts to his girlfriend Amber. 2 more months. Once Dad's estate clears, we're set. Mom won't last long in a facility. Stress takes people out quick. My son. Planning my death like it was a business transaction. Why? The question came out broken. We gave him everything. Paid for college. Helped with his business. We loved him. That's exactly why. Robert's voice was gentle. You gave him everything. He never learned to work for anything. Never learned that money has value beyond what it buys. To him you were just an inheritance that was taking too long to die. Martin reached for my hand. Eleanor. I pulled away. Don't comfort me. You've been lying to me for months. Planning this elaborate scheme without telling me. Because you wouldn't have believed me. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Martin's voice rose. Every time I mentioned concerns about David, you defended him. Every time money went missing, you found excuses. You're his mother. You love him. You're blind to what he is. And what is he? A predator. The word hung in the air. I thought about David as a child. Sweet. Bright. Maybe a little entitled. But we'd thought that was normal. Teenage rebellion that would pass. College struggles we'd funded because he needed time to find himself. Every red flag we'd painted green. What else? I asked. Show me all of it. Martin hesitated. All of it, Martin. He pulled out another folder. Medical records. He approached your doctor. Dr. Morrison. Asked about early onset dementia symptoms. How to document them. Offered $10,000 for a diagnosis. Did she? No. She reported it to me. That's when I knew this wasn't just theft. It was systematic. He was building a narrative where both of us were declining, incompetent, and he was the dutiful son managing his failing parents. There was more. Records from David's college years. Money we'd sent for tuition that never reached the school. A business we'd funded that existed only on paper. Friends who'd tried to warn us about David's spending, his lies, his manipulation. People we'd dismissed as jealous or troublemakers. We enabled this, I said finally. We loved him. That's not the same thing. Isn't it? We saw the signs. We ignored them. Made excuses. Gave him more chances, more money, more trust. We created him. Eleanor, don't. Don't what? Take responsibility? We did this, Martin. We made him believe he could take whatever he wanted. And now he wants us dead. Silence. The funeral, I said. Walk me through it. Martin explained. The staged accident. A controlled demolition of a car in a junkyard, photographed to look catastrophic. A cooperative funeral director. A death certificate from a doctor who owed Robert a favor. An empty casket. Who else knows? Robert. The lawyer. The investigator. The accountant. That's it. And David thinks you're really dead. Yes. What's the plan? We let him act. Without restraint. Without fear. He'll push you to sign more documents, transfer more assets. He'll complete the crime. And then, we call the police. Yes. I looked at my husband. This man who'd faked his death to save me from our son. I have to go home, I said. Face him. Pretend I don't know. Eleanor, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Because you're right. I was blind. I made excuses. I enabled him. I stood. Now I need to see him clearly. All of him. Before we destroy him. This will destroy you too. I'm already destroyed, Martin. I buried you 3 days ago. This is just a different kind of death. I walked into my house at 2 p.m. David was in the kitchen making lunch. He looked up concerned. Mom, where were you? I was getting worried. The lie came easily. Just driving. Needed to clear my head. You should have told me. I would have come with you. He set down the sandwich. Approached like I was fragile. You shouldn't be alone right now. Every word felt like glass in my ears. I'm fine. Just needed space. Of course. Of course. He guided me to a chair. Have you eaten? Let me make you something. I watched him move around the kitchen. My son, 32 years old, acting the part of devoted caregiver, while planning my destruction. Martin had given me a small recording device, hidden in my watch. Everything would be documented now. Mom, I was going through Dad's files this morning. David sat across from me, producing papers. There are some time-sensitive things we need to address. Like what? The mortgage on this house needs to be refinanced. Dad's life insurance needs to be claimed. And there are investment accounts that need to be transferred into your name, or better yet, into a trust. For protection. Protection from what? His smile was patient. Patronizing. From complications. Estate taxes. Legal delays. I've talked to a lawyer. If we set up a trust with me as trustee, everything stays in the family, but the transition is smoother. A trust with you as trustee. Just temporary. Until everything settles. He slid documents across the table. I know this is overwhelming, but Dad would want this handled properly. He'd want you protected. There it was. The magic phrase. Dad would want. I looked at the papers. Trust documents. Transfer authorizations. All requiring my signature. This seems fast. I know, but there are deadlines. The life insurance alone. If we don't file within 30 days, it complicates things. He leaned forward. Mom, I'm trying to make this easy for you. To handle the burden so you don't have to. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it. Couldn't quite hide the smile. Good news? I asked. Just confirming some transfers went through. Dad's business accounts. Robert's been helpful getting me access. Liar. Robert had given him nothing. But David didn't know that. Can I think about this? I gestured to the papers. His jaw tightened. Just slightly. Of course. But Mom, the 30-day window. I understand. I just need a day. To process. Sure. Of course. He stood. I'll be here. Whatever you need. After he left the room, I exhaled. My phone vibrated. Text from Martin. You're doing great. We're recording everything. That night, David pushed harder. Mom, I'm worried about you staying in this house alone. It's too big. Too many memories. We were in the living room. Martin's chair still empty between us. I'm not ready to leave. I know. But maybe just temporarily. There's a really nice assisted living place nearby. Just until you're steadier. They have grief counseling activities. Assisted living? David, I'm 58. I know, but after losing Dad, the stress, Mom, I'm worried about your memory. You've been forgetting things. Getting confused. No, I haven't. You have. Yesterday you asked me the same question 3 times. This morning you couldn't remember where you'd been. Gaslighting. Textbook gaslighting. I'm grieving, David. Not senile. I'm not saying senile. Just struggling. And that's normal. That's okay. But we need to make sure you're safe. He pulled out brochures. Actual brochures for memory care facilities. Just look at these. They're beautiful. And temporary. Just while you adjust. I took the brochures. Saw the highlighted sections. Secure environment. 24-hour supervision. Memory support. He was already picking out my prison. I'll think about it. His frustration flickered. Barely contained. Mom, I need you to trust me. Dad did. He told me before he died that I should take care of you. That you'd need guidance. Another lie. Martin would never. But how would I know? If Martin were really dead? That's the genius of David's plan. Every lie was unprovable. Every manipulation was disguised as care. Okay, I said quietly. I'll look at the documents. The trust. The facilities. Give me the weekend. Relief flooded his face. Thank you. That's all I'm asking. Just consideration. He hugged me. Tight. Possessive. Over his shoulder, I saw the hidden camera Robert had installed. Recording everything. I love you, Mom. I know, I said. Because he did love me. In his way. As a resource. An asset. Just not as a person. The next morning, David left for meetings with Dad's lawyer. The moment his car pulled away, Martin arrived through the back door. How are you holding up? I want to kill him. Martin pulled me into his arms. I know. I know. He had brochures, Martin. For memory care. He's already planning where to put me. We have it all on tape. The gaslighting. The coercion. The fraud. When do we move? Soon. He's transferring more funds today, the big accounts. Once that completes, we have everything we need. And then we bring him down. I pulled back. Looked at my husband. He's our son. I know. This will destroy him. Prison. Criminal record. His whole life. He was going to destroy you. Worse than that. He was going to erase you. Institutionalize you. Make you disappear. I know. My voice broke. When did we lose him? When did our boy become this? I don't know. Maybe he was always this. Maybe we just didn't want to see it. My phone buzzed. Text from David. Lunch meeting running long. Be home by 3. Love you. Martin checked his own phone. He's at the bank. Making transfers right now. How much? Everything in the business accounts. $480,000. Straight into an account in his name. Can we stop it? We could. But we need him to complete the crime. Half measures won't hold up in court. So we waited. Watched via security footage as David moved our entire life savings into his control. And I mourned. Not for my husband this time. For my son. The one I'd loved. The one who maybe never existed. David came home at 3:30, whistling. I was in the living room, pretending to sort through Martin's things. Playing the grieving widow. Hey Mom. How are you feeling? Tired. Overwhelmed. I know. It's a lot. He sat beside me. But I have good news. I met with Dad's lawyer. We got everything sorted. The accounts, the transfers, it's all organized now. Organized how? Safe. Protected. In a trust structure that shields everything from estate complications. He squeezed my hand. You don't have to worry about anything. I've got it handled. Translation. I've stolen everything, and you'll never see it again. That's good. Thank you. Of course. That's what family does. He stood. I'm going to make dinner. You rest. As he left, I opened my laptop. Martin had given me access to the monitoring system. I watched David in the kitchen, phone pressed to his ear. The audio feed came through my earbuds. It's done. Everything's transferred. She signed the trust documents yesterday. Stupid woman didn't even read them. His laugh was cold. Yeah, I'm thinking another month, maybe 2. Then I pushed the memory care angle harder. Once she's in a facility, I have full control. Sell this house, liquidate everything. A woman's voice, Amber, his girlfriend. What if she fights it? She won't. She's weak. Always has been. Mom's the type who goes along to keep peace. Besides, I'm documenting everything, her confusion, her forgetfulness. Building a case. Her own doctor will testify she's declining. You're sure? Amber, I've been planning this for 3 years. Since I realized the old man wasn't going to die naturally anytime soon. The accident was perfect, quick, clean, no investigation. And now Mom's vulnerable, dependent, exactly where I need her. And your dad's business partner? Robert. Gave him some bullshit about respecting Dad's legacy. He bought it. He's helping me transition everything. David laughed. Idiots. All of them. I closed the laptop before I threw it. Martin appeared in the doorway. He'd been listening from the home office. Did you hear? Every word. His face was granite. He thinks I'm really dead. Thinks he won. He said he planned this for 3 years. The accident wasn't opportunistic. It was premeditated. Martin's hands shook. He was going to kill me, Eleanor. Not just steal from us, actually kill me. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't process. My son. My baby. Planning murder. Show me everything, I said. No more protecting me. Show me who he really is. Martin took me back to his office that night. Robert was there. And a woman I didn't recognize, mid-40s, professional, sympathetic eyes. Eleanor, this is Detective Sarah Chin. She's been working with us. Detective? We brought her in 2 months ago, Robert explained. Once we confirmed David's intentions, this became a criminal matter. Detective Chin opened a file. Mrs. Hayes, I know this is difficult, but I need you to understand the scope of what your son has done. She laid out documents. Forged signatures on 23 separate documents. $680,000 stolen over 2 years. Attempted bribery of a medical professional. Conspiracy to commit fraud. And the recordings discussing the accident. Can we prove he meant to actually harm Martin? The recording alone is circumstantial. But combined with these, she pulled out more documents. Search history on his computer. How to stage a car accident. Undetectable poisons. How long does elder abuse investigation take? My stomach turned. There's more. Detective Chen's voice gentled. We've been monitoring his communications. He's been in contact with someone who has prior convictions for insurance fraud. They've been discussing methods. Methods? Of making deaths look accidental. The room spun. My son hired someone to kill his father. We believe he was in the planning stages. Mr. Hayes's staged death accelerated David's timeline, made him sloppy, overconfident. That's what we needed. Martin knelt beside my chair. Eleanor, look at me. We stopped it. He didn't hurt anyone. But he was going to. We have proof now. What happens next? Tomorrow, Detective Chin said. David will attempt to transfer the remaining assets. Your personal savings, the house deed. We'll let him complete the action. Then we arrest him. Tomorrow. We need the completed crime for the charges to stick. Attempted fraud versus actual fraud. The difference is years in sentencing. I looked at Martin. One more day of pretending. One more day. Then it's over. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went to David's old bedroom, the one he was staying in. Looked at his childhood things still on the shelves. Soccer trophies. School photos. A drawing he'd made at age 6. Our family stick figures holding hands. Mommy, Daddy, me written in crayon. When had that boy died? Or had he ever existed? I heard a noise. Turned. David stood in the doorway. Couldn't sleep either? He asked. Just remembering. He came in. Sat on his childhood bed. This room looks the same. I never changed it. Always thought. I trailed off. Thought what? That you'd come home someday. Really come home. He looked at me strangely. I am home, Mom. Are you? What does that mean? I almost told him. Almost confessed that I knew everything. That his father was alive. That tomorrow he'd be arrested. But I didn't. Because I needed to see if there was anything left of the boy I'd loved. Any hesitation. Any guilt. Do you ever regret things? I asked. Choices you've made. Everyone has regrets. Do you? About us? About your dad? He was quiet. Then. I regret that Dad died before we could resolve things. Resolve what? He never saw me. Never respected what I could do. Always treated me like I was incompetent. That's not true. It is. He controlled everything. Never let me into the business. Never trusted me with decisions. And you, he looked at me. You always took his side. David. It's fine. It's over now anyway. Now I get to show what I'm capable of. Managing things. Taking care of you. Proving I'm not the failure he thought I was. There it was. Not grief. Not guilt. Resentment. Entitlement. Justification. Your father loved you. Sure. In his way. David stood. Get some rest, Mom. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. We're meeting with the real estate agent. Starting the process of selling this place. I didn't agree to that. You will. Trust me. It's what's best. He kissed my forehead. And I let him. Because tomorrow, he'd learn that the dead don't stay buried. And neither does the truth. Morning came too slowly. I dressed carefully. Needed to look vulnerable, confused, the woman David thought I was. He was already downstairs, coffee made, papers spread across the kitchen table. Good morning, Mom. I made your favorite. He gestured to a mug. We have a busy day. I sat. Noticed the documents. House deed. Transfer papers. My name, his name, signature lines waiting. What's all this? The real estate stuff I mentioned. Just preliminary. But also, Mom, I think we need to talk about something serious. Here it comes. I've been thinking about your safety. Your memory issues. Yesterday you forgot our conversation about the house entirely. No, I didn't. Mom, you did. And it's okay. It's normal after trauma. But I talked to Dr. Morrison. She agrees that maybe a professional evaluation would be helpful. You talked to my doctor? As your healthcare proxy, yes. I have that authority now, remember? You signed the papers. Lie. Dr. Morrison would never. But again, how would I know? If Martin were really dead, if I were really alone, David controlled the narrative completely. I don't need an evaluation. Mom, please. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. His voice sharpened. Dad left me in charge. He trusted me to make these decisions. I'm trying to help you. My phone buzzed. Text from Martin. Hang in there. We're almost done. I'll think about it, I said carefully. There's nothing to think about. The appointment is today. 2 p.m. He slid papers across the table. After that, we'll sign these transfer documents. Get everything finalized. You're moving very fast. Because I have to. Because you're vulnerable, and there are people who would take advantage. Family friends asking about money, distant relatives sniffing around. I need legal authority to protect you. Translation. I need to lock down everything before anyone notices what I'm doing. The doorbell rang. David's face flickered. Annoyance. Who's that? I don't know. He went to answer. I heard voices. Surprise in David's tone. Then he returned. Face pale. Behind him, Detective Chen. 2 uniformed officers. Robert. And Martin. David stopped breathing. What, that's your dead? Martin stepped forward. Surprise. David's eyes darted. Door to exit. Windows. Back to Martin. Processing. Panic rising. I don't understand. The accident. The funeral. I saw. You saw what I wanted you to see. Martin's voice was ice. The question is, what did you do while you thought I was dead? I helped Mom. I handled affairs. You stole $680,000. Forged documents. Planned to have your mother institutionalized. Martin pulled out a tablet. Should I play the recordings? The ones where you discuss making her disappear? David's face transformed. The mask dropped. What replaced it was something cold. Reptilian. You bastard. You set me up. No. I gave you rope. You hanged yourself. David lunged at Martin. The officers grabbed him. You self-righteous prick. You think you're so much better than me? Everything you have, you got from your parents. Grandfather's money. You never earned anything either. David Hayes, Detective Chen stepped forward. You're under arrest for theft, fraud, forgery, elder abuse conspiracy, and attempted murder solicitation. Attempted murder? I never. We have your communications with Frank Holloway, discussing methods to stage accidents, to handle the old man problem. David's eyes found mine. Mom, tell them this is insane, that I was helping you. I stood, walked toward him. He smiled, thought he had me. Mom, please. I slapped him. The sound cracked through the room. You were going to put me in a cage, steal my home, erase me, your own mother. I was protecting you. From what? Freedom? Dignity? Life? You're weak. You've always been weak. Someone had to make decisions. You're not making decisions. You're stealing. You're a thief and a predator, and you're not my son anymore. Something in his face changed. Hardened. Fine. Fine. You want to know the truth? I've hated you both for years. Hated watching you live off money you didn't earn. In this house you didn't deserve, acting like you were better than me. We gave you everything. You gave me scraps. Private school scholarships, not tuition. Used car for graduation. College fund that barely covered 2 years. Meanwhile you lived here, comfortable, hoarding everything. We weren't wealthy, David. Your grandfather's money funded our security, not excess. Bullshit. There's millions in trusts. In investments. And you kept it from me. My inheritance. So yeah, I took it. Because it should have been mine anyway. Martin's voice cut through. It was never yours. It was earned by people who worked. Who sacrificed. You've never sacrificed anything in your life. Because you never gave me the chance. Never let me into the business. Never trusted me with real responsibility. Because you stole from us the first time I did. Martin's composure cracked. The business loan I gave you? You never started a business. You gambled it away. The emergency funds? Vacations and luxury you couldn't afford. We gave you chances. You spent them. David smiled. Cruel. And you'll give me more. Because that's what you do. Mom especially. Weak. Forgiving. Pathetic. I stepped closer. You're right. I was weak. I made excuses for you. Enabled you. Loved you when I should have seen you. Mom. But I'm not weak anymore. And I'm not your mother anymore. That woman died the day you decided to destroy us. For the first time, David's confidence flickered. You don't mean that. Officer, take him. They cuffed him. Started reading rights. David fought. Screamed. This is illegal. Entrapment. You set me up. Actually, Detective Chen said calmly. We documented crimes you were already committing. That's called evidence. As they dragged him toward the door, David's eyes locked on mine. I'll get out. And when I do, you'll regret this. Both of you. Martin stepped between us. You'll be in prison for 6 to 8 years minimum. By the time you're out, there'll be nothing left for you here. We'll see. They took him. The house fell silent. I stood in my kitchen, Martin beside me, and felt nothing. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Just emptiness. It's over, Martin said quietly. Is it? Because our son was gone. Not dead, worse. Alive and hating us. Locked away but not gone. A wound that would never fully heal. Robert approached. Eleanor, I'm so sorry. If I'd seen the signs sooner. No one saw them. Or we all did and pretended we didn't. I looked at Martin. What happens now? Now we rebuild. Recover what we can. Move forward. Without him. Without him. I nodded. And started crying for the first time since Martin's death. Not for my husband. For my son. The one I'd lost long before today. The house felt wrong without David's presence. Not because I missed him. Because his absence was a reminder of what he'd been planning. I walked through rooms he'd cataloged for sale. Touched furniture he'd already priced. Found notes in his handwriting. Estate sale. Mom's jewelry $2,000. Auction. Dad's collections $15,000. He'd been liquidating my life while I mourned. Martin found me in the bedroom, holding David's childhood photo. Second thoughts. I keep looking for him. The boy in this picture. Wondering when he became that man in handcuffs. Maybe he was always that man. We just couldn't see it. I set the photo down. His lawyer called. David wants to see me. Martin tensed. Why? To apologize, supposedly. To explain. It's manipulation, Eleanor. One last attempt at control. I know. But part of me, my voice cracked. Part of me needs to hear him say it. Admit what he did. Why he did it. And if he doesn't, if he just makes excuses, then at least I'll know for certain that the son I loved never really existed. Martin pulled me close. You don't owe him anything. Not even closure. I owe myself. I need to look him in the eye and not see my baby. I need to see the truth. Then I'm coming with you. No. This is something I have to do alone. Eleanor. Please. I need this. To say goodbye to who I thought he was. Martin nodded reluctantly. The next day, I drove to the county jail. Waited in a sterile visiting room. And when David walked in, orange jumpsuit, handcuffs, that smile that used to melt my heart. I felt nothing. He sat. Picked up the phone. Hi, Mom. Say what you need to say, David. His smile faded. No, how are you? No concern for your son in jail. You're not my son. Not anymore. Mom, I made mistakes. You planned to kill your father. Steal everything. Institutionalize me. Those aren't mistakes. That's who you are. His mask cracked. Fine. You want the truth? I don't regret it. I regret getting caught. And there it was. The truth I'd come for. The son I'd loved was dead. Or had never existed at all. David leaned forward. Phone pressed to his ear. You want to know why? Because you both deserved it. Deserved what? To lose everything. The way I lost my childhood. Always second. Always insufficient. Never good enough for Dad's impossible standards. We loved you. You loved the son you wanted. Not the one you had. His eyes were cold. Dead. Every achievement. Nice, but your cousin did better. Every failure? Proof I was lazy, unmotivated. You created this, Mom. Both of you. So you decided to destroy us. I decided to take what should have been mine. The inheritance. The respect. The life you owed me for raising me in your shadow. You were never in our shadow. You put yourself there. He slammed his hand on the table. I was your son. I deserved better than scraps and disappointment. You deserved what you earned. Nothing more. Then I earned nothing from you. He leaned back. Tell Dad his little plan worked. He gets to be the hero. I'm the villain. Fine. But when I get out, and I will get out, don't expect mercy. You taught me family doesn't matter. Only winning does. You'll be in prison for years. 8 years maximum. Probably 4 with good behavior. I'm 32. I'll be 36. Still young enough to start over. With or without you. I stood. Then start over without us. Mom. Goodbye, David. I hung up the phone. Walked out without looking back. In the parking lot, Martin was waiting. How did it go? He's gone. Our son is gone. I know. No. You don't understand. He was never there. We raised a stranger who looked like our child. Martin held me while I cried. Not for David. For the 32 years we'd wasted loving someone who'd never loved us back. We sold the house 6 months later. Couldn't stay in rooms where our son had cataloged our belongings like inventory, where he'd planned our erasure. The new place was smaller. A condo by the water. Clean lines. No history. No ghosts. Martin went back to work gradually. Robert had held the company together. Turned out to be a better partner than either of us had known. I started therapy. Learned words like narcissist and financial abuse and trauma bond. Learned that loving someone doesn't obligate you to be destroyed by them. The hardest part wasn't David's absence. It was explaining it. "How's your son?" friends would ask. We're not in contact. The judgment in their eyes. The assumption that we were the failures. That we'd abandoned him. Some people understood. Most didn't. We let them drift away. David's trial was quick. The evidence was overwhelming. He pleaded guilty to avoid worse charges. Got 6 years. Would serve 4 with good behavior. Amber, his girlfriend, testified against him. Turned out she'd been recording conversations too, as insurance. Smart woman. The restitution order came to $680,000 plus penalties. Everything he'd stolen, plus everything it cost to stop him. He'd never pay it back. We knew that. But it was on record. Forever. His crime. His choice. 2 years after his sentencing, a letter came. From David. Forwarded through his lawyer. Martin wanted to burn it. I stopped him. Inside 2 pages. Handwritten. Mom and Dad. I've had a lot of time to think. My therapist says I need to take accountability. So here it is. I was wrong. Not about everything. You weren't perfect parents. But I was wrong to steal from you. Wrong to plan what I planned. I'm not going to pretend I'm a different person now. I'm not reformed or redeemed. I'm just tired. Prison does that. When I get out, I won't contact you. I know that's what you want. You've made it clear. I don't forgive you for the trap you set. You don't forgive me for the crime I committed. We're even. But I need you to know something. I did love you. In my way. It just wasn't the way you needed. Maybe that's the tragedy. Not that I became a monster, but that I was never the son you wanted. David. I read it twice. Handed it to Martin. What do you think? He asked. I think he still doesn't understand. He's apologizing for getting caught, not for what he did. Do you want to respond? No. There's nothing left to say. We burned the letter that night. Watched it curl and blacken in the fireplace. Ash. Just ash. For years after David's arrest, we were having dinner when Martin's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Hayes? This is Officer Chen from the State Parole Board. I'm calling to inform you that David Hayes has been granted early release. He'll be out in 30 days. Martin's face went gray. I see. He's required to stay 50 miles away from your residence. No contact orders are in place. But I wanted you to know. After he hung up, we sat in silence. He's getting out, I said. Yes. He'll be 36. Young. Angry. Yes. What if he comes for us? Martin took my hand. Then we'll be ready. We survived him once. We'll survive him again if we have to. David never contacted us. We heard through distant family that he'd moved across the country, changed his name, started over. Whether he'd learned anything, we'd never know. Whether he'd become someone different, someone better, we'd never know that either. And slowly, painfully, I realized I didn't need to know. He wasn't my responsibility anymore. He wasn't my son anymore. He was just a man who'd once shared my name and my home, and had chosen to destroy both. On what would have been David's 38th birthday, I didn't send a card, didn't call, didn't wonder where he was or how he was. Martin found me on the balcony, watching the sunset, thinking about him, thinking about us, about the life we built after. Any regrets? I thought about it, really thought. I regret that faking your death was necessary, that our son was so dangerous you had to die to stop him. But I don't regret protecting myself, setting boundaries, choosing survival over denial. Martin pulled me close. Neither do I. We stood there as the sun set. Two people who'd buried a son without a body, mourned a man who wasn't dead, and survived betrayal from the person they'd created. Some stories don't end with reconciliation. Some end with acceptance. With understanding that love isn't always enough. That some people can't be saved. And that walking away from someone you love isn't failure. Sometimes it's the only way to survive. This wasn't a story about revenge. It was about protection disguised as death. Martin didn't fake his funeral to hurt David. He did it to expose him before David could complete his destruction. Sometimes the greatest act of love is dramatic, devastating, and looks like betrayal. The question it leaves: if the only way to save someone you love is to let them think you're dead, is it worth the cost? Was it worth it? Comment Bilou. Thanks for watching till the end. Please do well to subscribe then comment where you are watching from. I promise to give you a shout out in our next video.